Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective, doing a emotional reaction after finally getting back to my hotel room following our 20-19 loss to the Alabama Crimson Tide, the number one ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Probably going to be Georgia after this, if I had to guess. And just everything that we encountered today as fans, and just trying to get this set up here. Sorry. But yeah, just reacting, chatting with you guys. A lot to process, a lot to talk through, a lot that I'm wanting to bounce off of you guys here in the chat, and just help me with some notes here. I was very fortunate and blessed to be in that environment today, and it's just one of the reasons why I love college football. It was amazing. 11 a.m. I was getting the crust out my eyes this morning after coming in late last night to Austin, and boy, it was an amazing environment, atmosphere, everything. And I'm gonna get to the BSR sponsorship piece in a second, but I am so team of this football team, of the preparation that the staff of the kids put into really these first two football games, because I know ULM wasn't a good team, and it was actually a terrible team, but they were prepared. They took the mission seriously. Today they were prepared. They took the mission seriously. We're going to get into all of the things that occurred, the people that were lost, but I do want to start with just saying I'm very, very proud to be a Texas fan today. It sucks to lose. I'm never going to come on here and say, um, moral victories or anything like that. I mean, there's things you can take away that are positives. There's things you can take away that are encouraging, and I think there's so much that you can do with this game. But first and foremost, our goal is to win the football game, and they prepared to win the football game, and I'm proud of them in their youth and the adversity and everything we've seen um, over the last few years, or last season. Let's just go last season. Everything we saw last season, and no matter what blow came Texas's way, they kept fighting till the end of the game, till the last snap. So I'm very, very proud of them. I'm proud of the students for the energy they brought, for showing up early. Um, I'm very, very proud of just the atmosphere, the fans. I thought we had a major impact on this football game, and you could see it on the field. From some of the quotes I've been seeing on social media from some of the Bama players, you saw that impact as well. So overall, just opening statements and things like that of, considering how young this football team is, second year with this staff, going against the number one team coming into your house. I'm proud of these guys. I'm really, really proud of how they fought. They did as wasn't a perfect game. We're going to get into things we did wrong. Some issues I had with the officiating. Uh, some issues I had with some of the things that Bama did. There's a lot for us to dive into, but just wanted to start there. Quick shout out. Thank you to our sponsor, BUSR. BUSR.com/fanatic. Promo code Sports100FP. We also have a weekend promo code right now going for NFL games. So if you want to sign up within your first 24 hours of your initial deposit, we can match all of the whatever money you put forth. And with NFL going on tomorrow, we got college football tonight. We have UFC, some big UFC fights tonight. I know Tran is very excited about it. I know some people put in, those of you who made money today on Texas plus 20, that opportunity that was there for us, as well as all of the NFL games tomorrow. Big slate. So BSR.com, if you're looking just for a reliable betting partner 24/7, that we're here for you. Now I want to get to the chat, because I know Jess put a super chat in here, so I do want to be respectful. And Jess, thank you for the donation, brother. It means a lot. What do you say? If UT Parking did not tow or put a boot on the refs' cars, they all need to be. I'm gonna get to the refs in a second. I want to start with the players and just kind of where my mind is right now. We know what Sark does to open games and how good he is with the scripted stuff. They mentioned, Sark had mentioned at one point, or staff, that the game plan for Alabama was done 3 months ago, and all the familiarity between the staffs. And one of some of the biggest things I wanted to see personally was making this feel like a divisional game, making this feel familiar. Bama just shows up so many times and just intimidates people and makes people do things they don't typically do. People play and do things they don't normally, run stuff they don't normally run, a whole bunch of those things. And so having that familiarity, that's why you see teams, traditionally like Auburn, who's a rival, they're not afraid of Bama. A&M recently has played Bama, they beat them and played them tight. I don't know, a lot of you guys are already mentioned in the comments A&M losing to App State today. I did go and finish watching that game as well. But LSU, the teams that they're familiar with, right? And so this Bama team was not unbeatable. I actually felt as though, so I'm gonna say some things right now, right? I felt as though Texas was better coached today. I felt like Texas had a better game plan, offensively and defensively. They were more prepared for the opponent. They adjusted when they had just all sorts of crap fall their way, with whether it's officiating, whether it's injuries. Texas staff continued to adjust. I honestly felt like we didn't know, if there was no rankings on these teams, we didn't know who was who. I felt as though Texas was the better football team today, personally, and I'll tell that to anybody. I understand what Bama is. I understand how good Will Anderson is. I understand how good Bryce Young is. I don't think either of them played their best football today, but Texas had a lot to do with that. Texas had a lot to do with that, especially on Bryce Young. We had a lot to do with that. I think our atmosphere had a lot to do with that. So we can say people were off and things of that sort, but that was our fault too, right? We had something to do with impacting those things and forcing these negative downs, getting guys can repeatedly, Bryce and them in third and longs, right, and being able to pin our ears back and hunt. We weren't perfect. We gave up an 80-yard touchdown run today. It's unacceptable. We didn't get a stop on the last drive. We allowed them to kick a field goal, and then defense was spectacular today, all things considered. If you told me coming in the game we're going to hold Alabama to 20 points, I would have been like, wow, that's definitely the range we need to be in. But this group of players that we have, I think, how do I say this? I'm so encouraged by these young guys that are just fearless, and whether they make mistakes or not, but they're in there and they're competing their asses off against Bama. There's no fear. You're seeing guys making plays. You're seeing guys trying to figure things out. You're seeing guys getting rotated into the game and growing before our very eyes. I thought our quarterback, Quinn Ewers, I think what really sucks about this loss, it's not even just losing the game. It's it's the uncertainty, right? I'm not going to sit here and speculate on his injury right now. But what I will say is, I'm proud of how the team responded as a collective when he went down, because in the stadium, we were turned to 1,000 in there. I'm telling you, I know I was giving everybody in our section, across the board. It was awesome energy and atmosphere. But when he went down, it was like a gut punch, and because that rust that he had in week one was that, because he came out there ready to go. Bubba was cooking. Quinn was cooking. Quinn was 9-12 for $134 in one quarter. Come on, he was cooking. He had no fear. He was making some very impressive throws. Ball placement was on point. You saw the talent. And it was loud. His talent, that is. Bubba was cooking. It was, Tavian was more involved when Quinn was in there. And this is out without guys like Isaiah Nair as well, right? We don't have all our weapons. Ajayi Hall, I don't think he got on the field today, but guys that can even make this thing more explosive. And Quinn's moving the ball up and down the field against the Bama defense. With I don't want to say relative ease, because it was but it was very effective. It was very, very effective. Steve Sarkisian, AJ Milwee, Kyle Flood, amazing game plan. Amazing game plan for you guys. I love the motion. I want to give a quick shout out to Bill Curlin, who tweeted me late last night about the 6 offensive lineman package and said, hey, I want to see this. I would like to see this package, as many times possible. I think he said 35+%. So you definitely got your wish there. And I was wrong about that. I thought I liked the package. I knew they were going to use it. They showed it too much against ULM, but they lived out of that the same way Bama lived out of 2-back with Jace McCullen and Jahmyr Gibbs, right? So there was a chess match going on with some of these personnel groupings, and these coaches really just trying to get angles on each other. And I think because of that familiarity, which played to Texas's favor, that's how you end up in a game where it's 20-19. You're causing a lot of problems. Road atmosphere, craziness. We're able to get some of those Bama receivers, those young receivers they have that are very talented. But I thought we rattled some guys today on defense. And I know I'm jumping all over, but these are just general thoughts until we get into the chat here. Pass rush, just the overall improvement of the defense across the board. I mean, when I tweeted earlier and I said they're buying us time, what I meant by that was I knew in order for us to win that football game, we needed to score another touchdown. Period. We needed to score another touchdown. We couldn't win that game just exclusively kicking field goals, especially considering, the field goal miss we had right before halftime, right? And the poor snap and all these guys, these new specialists, even the punting situation with Trejo, aka Machete, who had a really good second half, I felt like, kicking the football. But these are all factors that come into play that change and alter football games, especially when you're talking about margin and you lose by 1 point. And you have the lead with 1:30 left. But, we get in the red zone multiple times. I think we were in the red zone 5 times, right? And so what I meant by, the defense is buying us time, yeah, you want your defense to hold as long as they can. So, eventually we can, put something together when we get in the red zone and get touchdowns. And we weren't able to score touchdowns. That's on Texas. Now, the face mask call, yeah, we'll get to the officiating here shortly. I don't like being a crybaby about stuff like this on this channel, but the officiating was god-awful and really suspect at certain times. I mean, them even considering targeting on Overshown in the end zone, I kind of get the safety thing. I don't know if Bryce is, if he had anything down. I know he was rolled on top of T Sweat. Sometimes they call in the grasp on some of those things, which I guess we don't get the benefit of the doubt there, where, to protect guys. I've seen that before. The lack of holding calls. I mean, the biggest play of the game, credit to Bryce Young. We PK dials up an amazing corner blitz, Ryan Watts, and Bryce makes a Bryce play and ducks underneath. Unbelievable play, right? Not taking anything away from Bryce. That's a Heisman level play. That's hey, I'm one of the best players in college football type plays. I'm one of the best quarterbacks in college football type play that he made on Ryan Watts. I'm not killing Ryan Watts for that. Yeah, he needed to execute and make that tackle because it was the perfect blitz call for that situation, and we needed to force a negative play in that situation in order for us to try and win the game. However, when you look at Oviegofu on that play by their right tackle, he is getting held. It's egregious how bad. Like you're talking about almost ripping somebody's jersey away. So even when Bryce, and this is, by the way, after Bryce breaks his tackle and flushes and rolls out, there's just egregious holding. Period. I hate talking about calls. I don't want to talk about this stuff. I don't. But in a game where with very little margin, where we're fighting an uphill battle against the number one team in the country, our quarterback's gone. Our we've lost our corner. Deshaun Jameson's gone. Right, we're playing with a bunch of young guys, trying our best, and it's like, damn, are we playing the zebras too? Like, what the hell is going on here? That's frustrating. It's frustrating. I'm not. I don't want to spend too much time on the officiating, but I mean, college football. I mean, football in general. It's always been challenging, and it's not an easy job that these referees have to do. I totally acknowledge that. There's so much happening. There's so much that they, you know, Mike Gosnell said about influence. Yeah, there's a lot they can influence for sure. Um, but it sucks. It sucks. You can make the argument, Dallas Turner driving Quinn Ewers to the ground. I do agree, Isaac, and I'll get to that chat here. I need to keep up with the chat better. About Quinn protecting himself. He did leave his feet. But, he drove into the ground. Now, they did call the penalty there. So that's all they did what they could do. So that's not really on the referees. It's more an Alabama thing. And I know it's 17 minutes in, but damn it, we got to mention it. Happened to us again. And this is where where's that what if comment? These what if games against Bama, man. Shit sucks. Sucks. I just want to play them like with an act like, and I'll get to Hudson Card as well and his performance, but like it's just playing Nick Saban left-handed because you guys keep taking out the quarterback and it's part of the game, but it sucks. It sucks. It's a what if. It's a what if. I believe if Quinn Ewers completes that football game, Texas upsets Alabama. That is, there's no way that I can definitively prove that. I do think that a lot of those field goals become touchdowns, and some of those drives and moments where Steve Sarkisian went from aggressive all the way through conservative to scared early when he didn't trust Hudson Card, which also tells us that there really was never really a quarterback competition, by the way. You can tell once he put the quarterback in, the whole offense changed, and the play. If it was as close as they said it was, he should have had no problem continuing to roll with the aggressiveness that he had offensively. So, and granted, yes, I understand Quinn's been taking the snaps, since the season started, and there's a little bit more of a ramp there. But when they're talking about this game plan was done for 3 months, and seeing the amount of nuance that was involved in this game plan, how comfortable Quinn Ewers was from jump, there wasn't really a quarterback competition like these people are saying there was. Now, that may have been done to the eye, but when Hudson, like, you can't tell me that this was a quarterback competition when Hudson Card comes in and you as a play caller, Steve Sarkisian, you're coddling the guy. And I know that there's trauma left over and residue left over from the Arkansas game last year. And I am very, very proud of Hudson Card for getting himself settled and playing through injury. He is injured. Okay. Now, hopefully we'll get to the whole situation of who's available for us for UTSA because, excuse me, because that's now a concern, right? It's one thing when we're playing with young guys and all this type of stuff. It's another thing these are big pieces we're talking about we're missing, right? Even going back to Nair, these are big, big pieces. These are big, big injuries that Texas is dealing with right now. So you're talking about two quarterbacks that are really, really banged up. We got to see what happens here. Now, once Hudson Card was able to get a little bit settled, he did miss some throws and things of that sort, but at least they started letting him do some things. I mean, it was bad. I mean, he gets in the game and the coach calls, toss sweep. That's unacceptable. I haven't seen anybody successfully run toss sweep against Bama since Nick Saban's been there. That goes back to the Shula days. So I don't even understand why you're even those are the little plays, the little things where you deviate from what you're doing, because it's like, which of these doesn't look like the other, right? So we have that play call on first down, and first down play calling was critical today, guys, because once we got in third and longs against Will Anderson and Dallas Turner on them guys, yeah, it was a wrap. We struggled, expectedly so, and that's a lot to ask, even with all the 6 offensive line package with the addition of Carrick. That's still a lot to ask for Christian Jones. It's still a lot to ask for Calvin Banks to hold up on third and long and let people try to figure things out. I did appreciate Carr being a little bit more decisive around the football when he could. That was better. But we did a better job, especially with Quinn, um, of really being, as efficient as possible on first down and trying to, keep things, in. And the other thing too is, once Quinn hit his first few throws downfield, all of our other things are now, we have more space to operate. And that was one of the frustrating things when Hudson initially came in. Bama's we know Bama wants to play press man. They want to get up in your face. They want to take away the short stuff. They want to take away the easy stuff. They want you to, hey, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to make a challenging throw downfield. And that's why Quinn Ewers, another reason why he was so effective today, because that falls right into his wheelhouse. Versus Hudson Card, who wants to play quick game and do all these other things. I feel like that's probably naturally the type of quarterback that he is. That was a struggle for him early on. And so we had to, the coaches had to scheme around that. They had to fix some of those things, and make it, a little bit more of a digestible game for him. But Hudson battled today, man. There's nothing. I am so proud of him. I wish he could have won the game. I wish he could have won the game, because, when you're the backup quarterback, yeah, you got to stay ready. But Hudson's not getting the same reps now that he was getting over the summer either, if there was a quarterback competition. And he's been through a lot here at Texas. People disrespect this guy's name all the time. And he doesn't have social media. He's not a loud guy. He's just quiet. And that's just his demeanor as a quarterback. But he showed a lot of heart today. And I think a lot of guys in the locker room will respect Hudson more for the toughness he showed. Now, on the flip side of that, and I've talked about injuries, right? This sucks, because Hudson's last 2 meaningful games that he's really played with a lot of football, he's gotten hurt. Got hurt against West Virginia. Granted, it was dirty play. Got hurt today. Quinn Ewers is hurt. So availability, Bijan Robinson, the effort that he put into this game, and the performance that he had, with 21 carries, 57 yards, wasn't sexy or anything like that. Did have 73 yards through the air, but all of the little things that he does, and he seemed to be banged up too. I'm just really proud of this team and the guys we have. Tran's in here. I want to get him on. Hey, Tran, what's up, man?
Yo, what's up? Sorry, man. I just woke up. I saw your text.
No worries. No worries, brother. We hopefully you can hear me okay. I can hear you well.
Yeah, I can be fine.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna come your way to watch some UFC tonight, by the way.
Cool.
Just FYI.
That works. Come on over.
Yeah, I'm gonna shower after this. But anyway,
that was my favorite part of the game afterwards, after getting home.
Was getting showered.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. But while we're on here, the atmosphere was unbelievable today, man. And I'm so happy that I got to experience that with you. All the wonderful people we met and continue to meet at these games. And I really, really feel as though, we have Bama in hell. so many different times in this game, man. We really did. Just what are your overall takeaways? What's on your mind right now as you've had a chance to get showered and breathe a little bit? Where do you want to go with this?
So I'm in the so I've been thinking back and forth like should I be told this as a positive and think of it as something that's good, or do I think of it like my normal thought process and think of it as a loser mentality to think that way? Like, oh, we got things to look forward to. Like, no, I mean I want to win, but when you think of all the cards that were stacked against them and what they did, like I respect Hudson Card so much for battling through it because I don't know if you've already touched on that, but you obviously saw he was in great deal of pain. Bijan Robinson, he's a warrior, and you could tell he was fighting through pain too. I mean, I think it was after one stiff arm that he had, he came up and he started flexing his.
Yeah, he stiff armed the guy. I forgot who that was, but he stiff armed the guy, and I think it messed up his shoulder when he went all the way down. And the rest of the game, he was very ginger with it. He didn't, you
Mm,
know, something to keep an eye on. I don't think it's severe or anything like that. Obviously,
yeah.
yours is, but I think it was that play where he stiff armed that guy.
Yeah, and because there was another play where he busted out and a guy tackled him low, and that was an easy stiff arm for him, and he didn't even try to attempt to stiff arm utilizing that same shoulder. So I mean, you can tell he was favoring it. And at the end of the game, when he caught the last pass, you saw the way he was trying to get up. He didn't get up the way he normally does. But back to my point of which spot should I be in? I mean, we should take this as a positive. With that said, though, it's only a positive is if we grow off of this. If we know that, hey, we could play
Agreed.
up to this standard. We could play up to this standard and go out and do it. If we go out and face UTSA and lose the game or win by like
Agree.
one possession, that's not growing off of it. So, we'll see. I'm going to take it one game at a time. Still, not going to get too high, not going to get too low. But I didn't get as upset as I thought I would be after a loss because I was holding out that hope that we would be able to win. And you can ask our A&M friend. We even had the talk about it. It was like, hey, everyone thought that we were going to get blown out by LSU, and no one knew that LSU team was probably the best team of all time, and we should have at least taken them to overtime. With it wasn't for self-inflicted wounds. So I said we're going to show up. So that 22-point differential is a slap in the face.
That was disrespect,
Yeah.
and that was the immediate. Hey, let's rally the guys. We're underdogs, and it's very rare that Texas really truly gets to embrace that underdog role. But this staff and everybody again, they were locked in. They took it as a sign of disrespect. Overshown made the comment about, oh, thank you guys for the super chat, Michael Short. I know you didn't have to leave a comment, but thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. Text 20 text 2005. Thank you for the generous donation. Wakanda forever. We got the whole thing in here. I appreciate you, man. We say we're going to be all right, and we feel good right now. I think we feel good right now in terms of some of the questions we wanted to see answered, especially defensively coming into the season. Things with the offensive line and the young guys playing and their development pattern. Here's where I'm concerned though. I don't know the health of my quarterbacks. That's going to impact my win-loss record. Period. I
Mm-hmm.
have no idea what the health of my quarterbacks are. And number two, like you said, we've had moral victories before where we felt good. We felt like we were close. And then we go and drop a game to somebody we're not supposed to drop a game to. So I think how we feel about this loss. Oh, Vicente, I missed your super chat. I'll get to it. I'm sorry. Let me look it up. I apologize. Please. As my grandmother used to say, charge it to my heart, not my head. Or charge it to my head, not my heart. I always get that shit backwards. But oh, I'm sorry, Tran. I don't know why Started pressing on this thing. Hang on one second. Oh, Jantz is on too. Jantz coming in. Jantz, what's up, man?
What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all, man? Listen, y'all, you got my throat.
Congratulations on the win, first and foremost. Congratulations to Alabama.
Yeah, much respect to Texas, man. Much respect to you guys. Listen, everything that I thought, that I feared, literally happened. We did not come. We were extremely undisciplined, but you guys came to play. You guys came to play, and man, I think I'm ecstatic for your program. I'm ecstatic for just the direction of where you guys can take the Big 12, and I'm honestly, I would love to have a rematch as soon as possible with you guys. I think that would be tremendous.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. Hey, hats off to y'all. Y'all dealt with a lot of adversity, and then like a championship caliber team, you came back and scored when you needed to and delivered when you needed to. That him avoiding that sack that's you can't teach that. It's just something that's willed. So I mean, hey, I wish it went a different way, but it is what it is. We lost to a very good team.
Yeah, Jantz, you had a lot of concerns that I feel like now people hopefully in your Alabama community can really understand where you were coming from. You weren't trying to be negative. You weren't trying to be the contrarian. You're just like, this is what I see and this is why. And I thought you had very rational football points to, substantiate what you were saying. So what were some things that that really stuck out to you in terms of that validated that concern? Because none of us foresaw this, right? And so how did we get here in your opinion, Jantz?
Well, offensive line wise, one of the biggest concerns was Bill O'Brien, right? It was Bill O'Brien. It was just the play calling. This was not his best game play. As far as play calling wise, was not his best performance by far. The offensive line unit, Darian Dalcourt, I said it, that was going to be a concern at center. I would have rather had Seth McLaughlin there because at least with Seth McLaughlin, I can have a pretty good pass blocker. His biggest weakness was not having the ability to run block, but that's why Darian Dalcourt actually, he became a starter because he's a lot more physical. He's kind of one of the leaders in the offensive line, and one of his biggest attributes is run blocking ability, but he got owned today. I mean, he did not do a good job at all, really kind of holding his own in that interior. And Emil Ekiyor had an inconsistent performance. Kendall Randolph, 6-year player, just like I was expected, he did not have a good game today. And then we saw wrinkles. I mean, our redshirt freshman, J.C. Latham, was not disciplined today. I don't think he had a bad game today, but he was pretty undisciplined. And, our youth and receivers, and I got to give a lot of credit to Texas. I got to give a lot of credit. You guys locked up a lot of our receivers, the ability to get open at all. And so I got to give you guys a lot of credit for that. Kobe Prentice had his struggles a little bit earlier today. It's just, man, I mean, you guys just brought it. Extremely physical football team, and we have a lot of holes. I mean, I didn't even touch on the secondary. I mean, we didn't have the players that can guard any of you guys. And that was one of the things I was really concerned with was, and this was during the preseason, like when if it was Jaleel Billingsley and Jatavion Sanders there, and if you guys were running a lot of 12. We don't have a player on this roster. We don't have a player on this team, whether it's our linebacker position or safety that can guard those two. So Jatavion was a concern, which ended up being that. Xavier Worthy was another player that we tried. I mean, we tried to have some safety help. We tried to man him up. We tried to simplify it, and we did not have a corner on our team right now that could guard 1-on-1. So it's just a lot of the concerns, man. Our secondary for the most, and again, it's something that we had questions with as Bama fans. Now it's, now for the most part, now we know what we need to work on. And that's the secondary, that's our offensive line. But now it's inexperience at the receiving position and finding that connection between Bryce and the rest of the receiving core. And I think we really too, our running back rotation, even though it wasn't particularly bad, there were just a lot of cases, situations where it just felt like, Bill O'Brien just didn't have that much confidence in Jahmyr Gibbs or Jace McKellar.
O'Brien had a bad day.
Yeah.
Y'all, the first quarter and a half, from a running perspective, y'all were.
Hey guys, I'm getting echo or something's up with the mic. Are you guys hearing that?
I'm not hearing it.
And hearing that like a little bit from my end.
Okay. Go ahead, Tran. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, we made adjustments and we clogged the middle, and we were trying to get you to push to the outside. Um, the I think honestly from a defensive back perspective on our side, guarding your receivers, we did an okay job, but there's still a lot of cushion. Early on in the game, there's a couple passes that were missed, but I attribute that to, like you said, the offensive line issues that you were having and us getting pressure just with our front four, causing rush throws a little bit.
Yep, and that was one of the things that I was worried about. I said, if this front four can get pressure without PK being really aggressive, sending around 5 to 6 6 7 guys constantly after Bryce, that's going to be an issue because now it sets that defense up to doing something that they're extremely comfortable with now. Now that kind of tells me that that our offensive line just has that many issues to a point where as far as coverages, as far as different concepts being thrown at, that now it's just going to be a completely different ball game, and that's what happened. I mean, Texas was they were comfortable, very comfortable, and it was to a point where when Texas had the ball offensively, when it was when they were particularly in the goal line, when in their goal line formations, I really wanted Texas to go for it because I'm like, I think that this will send a message to the defense that they are extremely confident in their ability to stop Alabama because again, even though for the most part you got to do what you have to do, I felt like Sark and a little bit kind of played a little bit scared. I wanted him to play way more aggressive. This is just from the neutral standpoint. Playing, I think playing to win could have inspired that defense just a little bit more. But no, I mean, I think besides the little wrinkles here and there, obviously a lot of people are going to be talking about the missed calls of this game, and it was just a crappy officiating football game. It was just this was just it was still a really really good game though.
I thought I mean we all kind of were looking at that, right? And Homer just highlighted it here. We needed to score a touchdown. We needed one more touchdown or to extend that to 2 scores. When it was 16 to 10, 13 to 10, 16 to 10, we lose 3 points. So, however you want to go, it's just the inability to capitalize on those red zone opportunities that we're normally pretty good at. I do think Sark his plan was to be aggressive all day long with Quinn Ewers. And while they ultimately got to a decent place with Hudson Card, and a lot of that credit to Hudson Card and his toughness, he coached scared. Initially, like he literally almost took the ball out of his hands. And, granted, our defense is, you're playing with a hot defense. You're playing the field position game. You're flipping the field. Those are all positives. But at the end of the day, like if you're trying to upset Bama, you're trying to beat a team like this, a team that, you guys are getting in your own way, tons of penalties. Some of that is attributed to Texas and the crowd noise and things of that sort. But you also had very uncharacteristic, undisciplined type penalties too. And I just felt as though we didn't take full advantage of all of what we could have in those moments, and we left some of that on the field. And I think the coaches, that's something they're going to have to go back and really understand. Hey, when we're in these type of situations, we have to capitalize, or we have to put our kids in a better position to where they're able to score touchdowns, right? I mean, there was a few times we're in the red zone and the ball really never even made it to, whether it's an attempted throw, things of that sort. I mean, we really didn't even give ourselves an opportunity to score a touchdown, it felt like.
No, yeah, I mean, it's just, a lot of just boneheaded personal foul calls, and honestly, Texas had. I feel like Texas, in knowing Sark, he was gonna make Bama pay. I truly do believe that he was gonna go for it. He was gonna try to make him pay because you can't give Bryce Young that opportunity. You cannot let the game be once to being that particular close. You gotta. There are points where you do have to gamble. You got to gamble. You can't play safe, and that's one of the things that will cost it will cost teams against Alabama is that in certain situations, no matter what, how the game is going, at the end of the day, there will be coaches out there that will play scared. They'll play a little bit too conservative because even though Texas played really, really good, I felt like Sark did not want to mess it up. He did not want to, he did not want to be the one solely responsible for messing up Texas's chance to make a really huge upset. So honestly, like I said, I think you're right. I think they'll go back. I think they'll have obviously a meeting. They'll talk about that, address it, and probably make sure that never happens again, just in case if they end up in this type of situation again.
Joshua Vasquez, thank you for the super chat. He said Texas O-line with 2 true freshmen, definitely impressed against 2 future first-round picks in Dallas Turner and Will Anderson. I'm happy with their improvement. Tran, you want to talk to the offensive line today and just some of the things you noticed from those young guys?
Well, I mean, they weren't overwhelmed. I mean, the moment wasn't too big for them, and they stepped up. I mean, that's a headache to deal with. Yeah, they let some pressure go through, but we knew that was going to happen. They're too good. Those 2 ends are too good of players not to get home every now and then. I also thought, having Sark there, knowing what type of defense that they want to run and what type of blitzes and stunts that they want to do, I think that helped a lot and helped them put them in position because I think Sark was quoted as saying "Hey, we've had our game plan set for Bama 3 months ago, right?" So I'm sure that's the biggest thing that they were focused on. They saw a lot of open opportunities, especially quick swing passes. Bama started catching wind to that and tried to start jumping those. We saw that they came close a couple times. So we thought that we could beat them with the edges if we went against their aggression. So I mean, I thought the offensive line. Yeah,
Branch was trying to jump some.
Yeah.
Later in the game, he was trying to gamble a little bit. And I was like, hey, we might want to,
ease off on it. Yeah, ease off on it, or fake the swing pass and then hit him over but we didn't do that. But the offensive line, I thought, I mean, they didn't do anything to make us lose the game. So they did whatever. I mean, that was the best performance that we could ask for against this vaunted Alabama D line.
Yeah, I thought our interior defensive line did a really, really good job. I think I think as soon as Jaheim Oates came into the game, I thought he did as a freshman too. He was spectacular. He was very, very spectacular. And I think he should definitely be starting over DJ Dale. But no, I was impressed with Kelvin Banks. I mean, I've never seen Will Anderson that frustrated ever in a game, and he held his own to a T. Up against Will Anderson. Now, Will, again, even though he didn't really have the greatest game, he still made an impact. I mean, he blocked the kick, which that was 3 points right there. Made a sack at the end of the day. That even though
sack to force the field goal. Yep.
Yeah. It's just so like Will Anderson still made that impact, that much amount of an impact. But knowing Dallas Turner and knowing Will Anderson, and knowing that one of those guys is considered a Heisman contender and a number 1 overall pick, we expected for the most part that Will Anderson was going to be a lot more consistent tonight than he was. But no, you got to give a lot of credit to I think Kelvin Banks and Christian Jones. I think those guys deserve a lot more credit for what they was able to do as far as really limiting our pass rush.
I thought that was the strength of your team today. If we're doing grades for people on Bama, I know Nick is going to be very harsh on the group, and you know what? For you guys moving forward, Nick has their attention now because no more reading press clippings and saying this is the best team we've ever had and all this BS. Like we should have lost today. If I'm Nick Saban, that's my message to the team. We should have lost this football game. Now, from a standpoint of this, some of the controversial plays in this game, Tran, was that a safety?
Someone said his shin was down. When I saw the picture, it didn't look like his shin was down. I don't think it was a safety, and I don't think it constitutes as a intentional grounding because we tipped it. I think that's the rule. If we touch it, if we touch the ball while it's in the air, it doesn't have a chance to actually get to a receiver, so you can't call it intentional grounding. So I don't think it's a safety.
Yeah, initially for me, I was like, I thought it was a safety until I went back and I just saw that the pass actually tipped one of the Texas players. I'm like, if that player never was there, I think that possibly could have been a safety right there. Is if he would have never been there. But I think because it's just more, it's like more of a freak accident type of play that you've never seen before.
I personally don't. I don't think it was a safety. I like just from what I've seen. I have to go back and watch it again. This is just us looking at replay in the stadium and some of the quick replay I saw on the way back to the hotel. But I mean, it was a tough play because of how everything occurred.
According to our chat, every part of his body was down. I've seen his shin, his calf, his elbow, his
yeah. So it's tough. It's tough, but that's why you want to get people backed up in those situations. And I thought Texas, try to capitalize on it. Like that I'm encouraged by all of these things. Now Ryan made some good points here in the chat, and I want to bring these up because he said that hopefully this is not the case where we're playing up for big games and we come out flat for others. Again, this Bama game, how we feel about this game, to me, will be determined on how we play throughout the rest of the season. If we come out and prepare and we play across the board week in, week out with this level of consistency and preparation, we cannot prepare. Well, you can prepare. Well, you can't account for injuries. You can't account for bad officiating or just things that, shit happens, right? You can't account for those things. We get that. However, certain elements of this game today that we saw, we've had trouble responding and getting up and having all of this excitement to play somebody. Like that energy needs to be there for UTSA, right? That energy needs to be there when you go on the road against Texas Tech. That's when Texas will really, really, people won't just say, oh, well, like now, and it's good for recruiting that was here today. I think this is actually a win for Texas, all things considered, in terms of what you can sell if you're Steve Sarkisian, even in a loss. However, you have to show people that we are on the track to consistency, and we're going to play football hard every single week. We're not going to have letdowns. We're not going to be asleep at the wheel anymore and just have BS overcome us. There has to be some growth even from this situation, and that's a concern I very much still have, especially considering the health of the quarterbacks right now, because I have no idea what we have available to us next week.
So the counter that I have is the way that the defense played this week. It's inexcusable for us not to be an okay team, especially running through the Big 12. We need to bring that every single week, just like that. We covered well. We rushed the passer well. We played one pass really well. We should have had that interception, and that's what something you and I talked about don't shoot yourself in the foot. If you're given opportunities like that, you have to come down with it.
I'm sorry, Tran, I had to mute you. It's your headset. Can you hear me, Jantz?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, Tran, I think it's your headset. So I'm gonna unmute you, but it's like causing a lot of feedback. But I know anyway. To echo on your point, yeah, Mark, we're getting it addressed. It's a headset issue. Hopefully you guys can hear us now. But to Tran's point in terms of, hey, playing consistently. Okay, he said he's going to drop and come back. All right. Consistently week over week. And that's not, hey, we're going to win out the rest of our games, right? That's not, we're just talking about a certain level of effort, a certain level of preparation. There's a lot that can be taken away from that. And that includes our energy for these football games as a fan base, as, just across the board. West Virginia lost to Kansas. Is this factual now?
It was, last time I saw it was tied. It was like 28-28. I'm not too particularly sure, but I went. Kansas looks really good, man. They look much more improved compared to what they did last year. Let me check the score. Actually,
and then A&M lost to App State. Funky.
I knew that. I won $1,000 because of that. So thank you. And a lot more A&M fans owe me money. They owe me money, man. So I knew. Listen, I made my prediction. I said they were going to go 6-6 this year. And I got killed by every Aggie fan. I'm happy though. I'm glad.
Homer said not yet. My expectations have completely changed. All right. All right, let's get Tran back in here. Hey, Tran.
Hey, is that any better?
Yeah, I can hear you right. I can hear you clear right now. It's just that it was like randomly just throwing like crazy feedback and static.
40,
Sorry about that, y'all.
Yeah,
No worries.
42-34 Kansas.
42-40?
42-34.
42-34. I truly feel like the floor remains. What is the floor though? What's the floor, Jordan, for this year for Texas? Here's the other thing I wanted to touch on. Is there anything, and maybe this is too soon, we got to go back and study this, Jantz, from a coaching perspective. I know how you feel about B.O.B.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of Pete Golding versus Steve Sarkisian, what was your takeaway there in terms of their chess match? When Quinn was in the game, did you feel as though y'all were gonna get a read on Quinn and get that under control, or did you feel like this was gonna, hey, we're headed for like a potential shootout here?
I felt like if we couldn't get and I'm being honest about this, I felt like the way that the direction of the game was going, I felt like if we couldn't get pressure on Quinn, and because the way Quinn was slinging that football and using his talent and just the hot streak he was going, the way that I was feeling, I felt like Texas was going to win that game by 2 scores. I honestly, truly do believe that the way that game was going, the way that the momentum was shifting, we could not stop Quinn at all in that game. And a lot of credit has to come with Sark, because a lot of those plays that I saw, I'm like, damn, this is this play from Notre Dame, or this is this play from Ole Miss in 2020. Like, a lot of those plays were so recognizable, and knowing our secondary and knowing that the trouble and just kind of the inexperience that we can have a little bit, especially with our outside corners. And I just knew personally that, yeah, if we can't get any pressure, we're losing these matchups. We don't have a cornerback on a team that can guard Xavier Worthy. We don't have any linebacking safety play that can guard Jatavion Sanders. And we saw a lot of other guys was able to step up as well. So you have a great combination of play design with a quarterback that was on a hot streak. And then for the most part, our safeties, even DeMarco Hellams, did not really have the best game. Brian Branch was getting lost as well. I mean, in coverage a little bit. The way that game was going, I just had, my mom even said it, like, we were watching the game together. She came over, we were watching the game together. She's like, if this keeps up, Texas could win this game by 2 scores. I'm like, I completely agree. Like, this is not going in a good direction.
I was just encouraged with the other guys that stepped up. Corey just mentioned Jay Witt, and I'm gonna get to some of the things here. Our secondary guys, because you guys are so aggressive, and we did have opportunities to hit Worthy. Worthy dropped a touchdown too, which I haven't brought up yet, where we missed points there as well. But I just felt as though Jordan Whittington, really strong with his hands, was really engaged. Seemed to me like Jatavion Sanders, when Quinn Ewers was in the game, was very engaged. I didn't see that same. And maybe I'm wrong. I can go back and rewatch. I didn't feel Jatavion's presence in the pass game as much once Hudson Card got in.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's just a comfort thing. Who knows? But the plays are there. The scheme is there. I mean, we had one shot that we hit to Casey Kane, and we had another shot to Casey Kane that we flat missed. Right? We just missed the throw. But the plays were there. And that's where, again, it comes down to execution against Bama and making those plays. I mean, you talk about execution. There's a play, and I hope Jameson, get well soon. And sucks that he went down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure it was Jameson.
Somebody
else that he dropped. He dropped a pick.
He dropped the pick. That was Jameson.
Yep.
You got to make those plays in games like this. You can't let people off the hook. Bryce is not going to miss like that twice, back-to-back plays. Now, Bryce had some moments where he was either off. There were other moments where he's hitting people in the hands and the ball's ricocheted.
Our freshman receivers and Jermaine Burton, just right in the hands, just dropping it.
Jermaine Burton didn't have, and I didn't feel his presence. I felt more Trayshawn Holden out there, more Cameron Latou, where it seemed like you got. And honestly, I mean, your main guy that we really had a lot of problems with in the past game was Gibbs. That was the problem, and he's killing us with Texas routes and stuff, and we can't. Poor Ovi is trying to chase, but this guy's explosive. So you look at matchups. I think the two-back stuff you guys were doing, y'all had a lot of success out of two-back. The Jace McClellan touchdown run came out of two-back set. All the Texas route stuff. Whenever y'all really, really needed it, that seemed to be the old reliable for y'all that we just couldn't, take away fully. But we limited these things. Like Bryce has 213 yards passing today, Jantz. I can't ask for more from my guys. I can't, and I lost the corner. I'm playing Jameer Johnson. I'm playing Austin Jordan out there, guys.
And
These are young boys.
We still can't take fully advantage of situations at times. We had to wait until the fourth quarter. I mean, Bryce Young had, I think, 71 or 72 yards, or I'm sorry, he had 92 yards in 3 quarters. And it wasn't until he got into the fourth quarter that's when he actually started to receive a majority of his production.
What do you want to blame, David? What do you want to blame Hudson Card for? I'm not saying he was. Again, I just said he missed the throw to Kane. Like I feel like I'm being objective here. I'm giving him credit for being a warrior today, and Tran said that as well, right? The boy battled for us. He's not Quinn Ewers.
Okay? He lifted his ass to a 3rd and 14, like first down. I mean, you could see he was in pain out there.
Yeah, man.
He was not perfect. You saw that. I'm not going to say he was the best football player out there, but he battled for us when we needed him, and you have to respect him for that.
Right. I mean, we had the lead with $1:30 left. Now we left too much time on the clock. We can have all that conversation, but we had a lead.
I actually attribute that to the play call. I didn't like the I think we did a play action and he rolled out and he just got laid out right away immediately. I would have rather them just ran it right up the gut and tried to get the 2 yards and leave it at that. But I mean, he made the field goal, so it really didn't change that much.
Yeah, Keelan Robinson, that was another one. The missed face mask, that was a bad one.
Yeah. Matter of fact, on the most famous one, I think a lot of people are going to talk about this. The one where Bryce Young escaped the blitz sack. There was actually a hold that they missed. That
on Ovi
called back. Yeah,
that Ovi one, that was egregious, man. And critical moment of the game, I'm trying to disengage if I'm Ovi, and my you can literally see his whole jersey just being pulled off his pads. I mean, it's right in front of him, and
you're
so
taught to sell. You as a player, when that happens, you're taught to if you can't escape it, you got to sell it. You got to try to sell that as much as possible.
Yeah, flail your arms. Hey, he's holding me, and things like that.
Spin around. That's a little trick. It's like, oh. But I mean that one, I can excuse the refs on that one. I mean, yeah, he did pull, but there's a lot of holding on the offense and defensive line. But the Keelan Robinson one, he turned his head around, and there's a sideline judge right next to it. They should have saw that.
Why should we excuse it, Tran? These are big plays. We needed that. Now, granted, we didn't execute. Ryan Watts missed the tackle. That's number one. And as I'm saying, let me be clear again. I want to be clear because y'all sometimes, some of you, a lot of you, I love you. Some of y'all are hard-headed, so I need to say things multiple times. Ryan Watts missed a tackle. That is a failure to execute. However, Bryce Young made an amazing play. Most quarterbacks are getting tackled in that situation. Most quarterbacks we will see, that's a sack. That was an amazing play call by Pete Kwiatkowski. he needed to take a risk in that situation, or because at that point, once Bryce hit those first couple out routes, he was in rhythm and throwing against the zone and all that. Like, dude, we have to do something to try to cause a negative play or to force a turnover. So you dial up one of your heaters you got left, and one of the heaters we had left was the corner blitz from Ryan Watts. It got home. The play in theory went how he was drawing it up to work. The player did not execute. And the player on the other team made an amazing play and got out of it. But as that is occurring, somebody else is getting held like badly. We can't miss these in the crucial moments of these games. I'm sorry. Like sometimes, like that's part of being disruptive as a player, as an edge guy. Like I'm trying to if I'm not allowed if you're allowed to do that to me, then I can't really put pressure on the quarterback like I would like to. And or I need to generate those calls. You know, there's some guys, there's value in the calls and the holding calls that they consistently are able to generate from offensive tackles. So that's why I'm frustrated about it. I'm not letting that one slide. I'm sorry. I don't like I hate talking about this stuff, but it's frustrating in a game that was so close.
So I know this is a little off subject, but did you hear what Nick Saban said in his presser?
No, enlighten me.
So someone asked them about, pretty much Texas and I think about, you guys' record from last year, and they kind of just talked about about that particular record, and the Nick Saban says, well, no, hold on. If Texas was in the SEC right now, like right in this moment, if they were in the SEC right now, they would easily be a top 2. They would easily be a top 3 team.
That's Nick Saban's doing his political thing, where no matter what, hey, that was basically the number 2 team in the league nation that we just lost to. So it doesn't look bad on him that they didn't show up for about 3/4 of the game. I mean, I don't. Do I think that Texas can compete in the SEC? Yes, I do. But do I think that Nick Saban thinks that we're a top tier team in the SEC? No, I don't.
I would say if you guys are right now in the SEC, I would say you guys are probably as far as talent and as from what I was able to see today, I would say you guys are probably like in that Tennessee tier.
Okay.
Poor
so just like the tweener, like right in between the
like an 8-win, 9-win football team in the SEC. I've always said that, like Texas, Oklahoma, as soon as I get in, it actually might be better, but it's not going to
be. The thing about the SEC for me is the body blows. And I think you see it today, right? Like, and that's where Texas has to get to a point of consistency. We lost a quarterback today. We have another quarterback that got hurt. We lost like people are like, when you go into battles like these, and the thing with you guys, it's like y'all will have a battle like this, and then the next week. By the way, I saw an Arkansas fan at the game today, like 2 Arkansas fans wearing full Razorback gear, randos. But I'm sorry, it just popped up in my head. But like you're playing a team like Arkansas the following week, right? Like that's where those body blows really can, especially in the SEC West, I would say. SEC East is a little different sometimes, in my opinion. But in the West, when you guys have to go, then Auburn and then LSU and these teams that are historically very physical, tons of great athletes, that's what Texas is going to have to get to. And I see them recruiting that way. I do see Texas preparing their program for that. I see that with the depth. This next class they're bringing in. These are all encouraging signs for Steve Sarkisian, but we got to win football games.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's most important.
That's the most important thing. At the end of the day, no matter how bad Alabama played, no matter how well and admirable Texas played, Alabama won the game. And I think there's something to be said, like you talked about earlier with the Bryce Young drive at the end. When I need it, I can get it, and I know how to close this thing out. I know how to get my team into field goal range. We have a very reliable kicker in Reichert, and we're gonna get out of here. And we're gonna we still know how to win the game, no matter if it's ugly, blowout, what have you. Texas we have to train ourselves how to win, because this was a very winnable game today, even despite all the crap we're talking about. They had a chance to win the game. Win. At some point, we can't just keep selling building and selling this and selling that. And I'm not trying to beat them over the head about today losing. That's not my point. But they have to develop the mentality of, hey, we're not going to do anything to jeopardize this and put ourselves in a position where we're going to put it on the platter for the other team to then go and take and win the game. And you see programs struggle with that, where they play really hard, they look really good, but in those key moments, look at the end of the half situations. We didn't get points when we were supposed to get points at the end of the second half, or the end of the first half, excuse me. Right? Defense has been playing great. Tran, we made the video in the stands. One more drive, one more stop defense. How many times we said that in the past, Tran? We're pitching a great game, but then we're not able to get that one last stop, even giving up a field goal. They knew when go on the field. We give up a field goal, we lose. Period. We cannot allow points. So they have to learn those lessons. They got to learn how to win.
Yeah, and for the most part, like even with our defense, when Will Anderson had that sack, like that was, as far as even though Will Anderson had a horrible, he did not have the best game today. We knew at the end of the day that if we can't stop them on this drive, they're going to drain the clock and they're going to walk away with the game-winning field goal kick. And Alabama made the play that needed to be made to give our offense a chance.
Stoops next. I'm just reading some of these comments. What is going on in the West Virginia game? I got to turn it over there. Is it overtime now?
Yeah, that's what Homer said.
Wow. No, the fans were terrific today. Incredible atmosphere. Was that one of the best atmospheres you've seen, Tran?
Yes. Yes, hands down.
Because I know you went to the USC game. I know you went to Notre Dame.
No, USC wasn't anything. I didn't go to the Notre Dame game.
Oh, my bad.
I didn't go to the Notre Dame game, and it was the best that I've seen it. I just wish, honestly, deep down inside, I still wished it was a night game.
Oh,
yeah, that's the only thing. I still wish it was a night game.
It will be a night game next year. I can guarantee you that. It will be a night game next year. So I'm happy about that because I'm not a big fan of the 11 a.m. kickoffs.
Neither am I.
No, that crowd was insane. The Will Anderson he came out and he said, dude, that's out of all the games I've played, that's the loudest and that's the most exciting crowd I think I've ever been a part of in my life.
I give the team credit too, because it takes two to tango, right?
Yeah.
So the team got, hey, we getting blown out, ain't gonna be no loud crowd, right? So the team got to keep us in it. They gotta do things, give us hope, all that type of stuff. Getting in third and longs, and so, but when those opportunities presented themselves, or Alabama's really backed up in their own territory, crowd was incredible, absolutely incredible throughout the game. Right, just so much great energy, and quite frankly, people were. There wasn't any of the crap we've seen before, Tran, where people are like, can you guys sit down? And all this type of stuff. Like, everybody was standing up, man, just screaming their butts off. Men, women, kids. That was so much fun. As a college football fan, to be in that environment, in that atmosphere. We saw John from Locked On Longhorns podcast too, Buddy Nash from Nash Talks Texas. Like, just an amazing environment to be a part of. And I wish we could have pulled it off. I wish we could have won that game. Jantz, as you guys, when you look at this situation, because I know you texted and you're like, this kind of feels like Auburn again. What are some of the things you're just looking to see throughout the rest of the season from when you guys get into conference play?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think your loss is still coming? Do you think, hey, this is the wake up call we needed to escape, we dodged a bullet? How do you see? Do you feel worse about Bama? right now? How do you feel?
Honestly, I do feel a little worse with us only because a lot of those issues that we thought could potentially be addressed and that we could see improvement from basically where we hear from. I mean, from all, again, maybe again, players, they're going to talk, they're not going to say anything negative about their team, but from what we've been hearing from a lot of Alabama sources and, news reporters, that this could potentially be one of the best Bama teams we've ever had. And, to see that, even though for the most part I knew we had question marks in our secondary, but that's where I thought that's where our front four could provide pressure, and to see some of our best edge rushers not really make that much of an impact or as much as an impact as we'd like to see, that could draw some concern. Now again, for the most part, I don't think there's going to be a lot of games where our front seven is going to be just absolutely stunning. Again, our interior defensive line was outstanding, I thought, today, but those other issues, man, with the offensive line and Eric War. I mean, everyone kept saying that, wait, Eric Warford from Kentucky, he's a legitimate certified coach. He's going to get this offensive line straight. And it's not like we brought in a bunch of new guys from the transfer portal or freshmen. Like at least 3 or 4 of those guys on our offensive line were starters on last year's football team. So we thought that we could see some improvement from Darian Dalcourt. We thought that we can see right off the gate, we could see some improvement from potentially with J.C. Latham. We thought we could see some improvement with Emil Ekiyor. And to see that for the most part, we're just in a way stuck compared to what we saw last year against Florida, against Auburn, against Georgia in the national championship game, to see those same certain issues. It's definitely concerning, because I don't want to go another year where Bryce Young has to pretty much scramble for his life, where he has to improvise a lot, where he has to, Bryce Young compared to a lot of the other quarterbacks that we've had, this is Bryce Young, the last couple of years, this is the worst offensive line unit we've had since 2007, compared. So, I don't want to go another year with it, but it looks like we might have to do it. And I do think we're going to have a loss coming, whether if it's maybe, I don't think it's going to be Arkansas, because I think Bama will wake up for that game, but maybe Tennessee. Tennessee looks really good out there today. They look really, really good, and that could
Big win against Pitt. Yeah,
that could be a unit that could potentially sneak up on us. Maybe if we get to the SEC championship game, maybe going against that front seven with Georgia, and knowing how that defense and Kirby Smart plays in the chess match that we kind of can see, maybe that could potentially be our first loss. But I do see a loss coming. I don't think that this is what we all know now, that this is not a perfect Alabama team. They need a lot of work to do. And I think that this game could be a good thing, because we now have tape about some of the concerns and just the bad performance we have, especially with our young, inexperienced unit. That could get worked on all throughout the week, and pretty much all throughout the year. Definitely with the offensive line, and I just hope and pray that we could please put Seth McLaughlin in this. It could start in center. I've been saying it since the summer. Darian Dalcourt should not be the starter of this team. We need to put Seth McLaughlin in the game, because even though Seth is not a good run blocker, that's a dude that can at least protect Bryce, and that's the most important thing, is protecting our quarterback. And Darian Dalcourt, for the most part, is just not that dude for us. So we need to make a lot of adjustments. I think we need to really evaluate our starting lineup and our roster, and we need to find out who the best starting 11 would be on both sides of the ball. Honestly,
Tran, I was very encouraged to his point about their struggles with the offensive line. Jantz, Tran and I will take some credit there on Texas' behalf as well, because I don't think I've talked to Tran about the D-line yet, or Big Murph and T. Sweat and Coburn. Is there anything that stood out to you today that you want to comment on?
Yeah, we were getting pressure with just those 4. Our front 4. We didn't have to bring an extra guy all the time to get pressure, and they played like men today. They stepped up to the challenge. The thing I was saying is, like, I want to see us get violent. Always, I've always said that. I want a D tackle that could hit a person, get a push on the line, blow up the pocket a little bit, make the quarterback uncomfortable. And for the first 2 quarters, I haven't seen Bryce Young this uncomfortable. I saw it in the national championship game a little bit last year, but he usually he's just unscathed. He knows what to do, when to do, and he looked a little shook out there for a couple quarters. So the D line handled their business, and it it was nice, and I saw us getting in a lot of different names in there. So the depth issues that you were talking about heading towards the SEC is already being addressed, and we're already getting a rotation of different bodies that are ready to go. So I was happy with it. I mean, I don't know what your thought process is on it, but I thought they had a very good game.
I also think their conditioning was better. Now they got tired on the last drive, okay, and they had to call. I thought the timeout was good. Was it before the timeout? After I forgot when they dialed up the blitz, the corner blitz, but um, I just thought collectively, like they had some issues getting gashed in the run game early, which I thought we cleaned up. And I think that's part of the frustration that's coming from Jantz's side. It's like, yo, we're Alabama. We expect to run the freaking football too, right? Like we expect it. You didn't see that typical push up front when they really wanted to commit to running the ball. It was a lot of, if you got something, it was an explosive play. It wasn't a consistent 5-yard, push that we've seen before. And so I'm encouraged by our guys just being able to hold up at the point of attack. I'm encouraged by the fact that I was able to look so closely on the field and we physically looked the part. We physically looked like we belonged. We physically looked like we weren't afraid of the opponent. Nobody didn't see, on both sides of the ball. You look at Kelvin Banks and Christian Jones. I thought Christian Jones was more than fine today. They didn't seem to be overwhelmed by these matchups. They lost some snaps. There's some reps that I'm sure they would want to have back, but net, I think in the offseason, not many of us, but I think there were some people that thought this was potentially a disaster of a matchup because of what Alabama was presenting and all of the uncertainty that we have on the offensive line. Tran, when did the fight start? Because I want to, does it start?
I think they've already started.
No, I'm talking about like the
main card.
The main card.
Probably 9 or 10. I don't know.
9. Okay, are you guys cool for 10 minutes? We can stop at 9.
Yep.
Is this a Steven 10 minutes or is this a?
No, I gotta eat and shower and a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing too that I think a lot of people are not going to talk about. Our offensive line was tired. They were exhausted. There was a shot, and I'm gonna have to go back to the game and clip it. But one of I think it was Iki, or he was it was after a play, and it was to a point where he kind of not collapsed, but he kind of bended on a knee just real quick, and then he came right back up just so he can catch his breath. And I think that Alfred Collins was pointing at him, and he just pointing at him, pretty much just telling him, like, dude, you were like, what? You're tired. And our offensive line was, again, it's hot. It's a hot day, but the fact that our offensive line didn't really get that many snaps compared to what our defense had to do, and that they were tired, just tells me that they were frustrated. That offensive line was frustrated, but the defense was literally getting the best out of them because they were winning the physical war against our offensive line.
I'm glad you touched on that. It could be a blessing in disguise for y'all, though. Honestly. Yeah. Just getting smacked in the face a little bit earlier, or like a wake-up call smack in the face. Because, technically you're a 22-point favorite, according to Vegas. And for the most part of the game, we were right there. We were right there the most part of the game. But, you have the best coach of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very he micromanages us like crazy. So he's gonna find what's gonna work for you, and he's gonna use this with trial and error, and he'll figure something out. So I do think it's a blessing in disguise for y'all.
Oh yeah, and it's like I would rather happen like this now compared to this happening in November. I can't like November is you got Auburn and LSU. I can't do that. I would rather have this happen now. Learn from your mistakes. Like, you got punched in the mouth today, and this was a game you honestly, we should have lost this game, and we could have lost this game by easily 2 scores this football game at least. But thankfully we had some luck was on our side. Whether it was some missed calls or whether it was just us making some of the exceptional plays, we got out of here, and now we have to go back, look at the film. We have to reevaluate. We have to reevaluate our mistakes, and really we got to get better. Because we can't. we can't get any worse than that. We can't have 15 penalties in a game. We haven't had 9 penalties and a half since 2006. I mean, come on. I mean,
You had
so
15 total penalties.
we had 15 total, but we literally could have had 22. I saw at least 7 missed calls this game that we could have had. We could have had over 20 penalties easily. But it's just so it was from a non-disciplined standpoint. I felt like again there were some football plays that you can sit up and say, okay, well, you know what, that's just football. It is what it is. But then there is a lot of other penalties that it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are like Will Anderson pushing the player when he was already we're off the field? Why are you pushing?
Yep. And Jatavian Sanders said lost yards on that screen.
Yeah.
The tight end screen, and he hits him. That's just so uncharacteristic. I think that was probably the most shocking thing I saw from Alabama today. Was just it wasn't the level of undiscipline that we saw in the LSU, like from the LSU team last week against FSU. That was bad.
That was bad. Yeah, that was really bad.
But there's just a lot of uncharacteristic behavior. Now, assuming Texas, let's say, sounds like Hudson Card is like kind of day to day right now with his leg or ankle or foot. I don't know what the injury is. If he's the guy, and I feel like, let's say Quinn's gone, we don't know, some undisclosed period of time, well into conference play, potentially. This is what I was talking about before the season about you have, like, especially with quarterbacks, opportunities are going to be there for you guys to play. This is why I've advocated for folks that talk about Malik Murphy. There's not always a clean path for everybody to get on the field, but often, and sometimes it emerges in ways that you can't even imagine or foresee. And I would like to see Steve Sarkisian really, really curate a game plan around the best things that Hudson Card can do. Now, Hudson Card needs to hit his deep shots. Okay, that is a state. There are certain things that are just a staple of what Steve wants to do. That stuff is not going away. But I felt as though this offense was so. And granted, Quinn Ewers is a great fit. Quinn Ewers is going to be a good fit for a lot of offenses with that type of arm talent. But he's a great fit for what we want to do, where we're able to play with him fast and quickly, even though he doesn't have much experience. I need if it's going to be Hudson for the next couple of weeks or the rest of the season, I don't know. I need to see their marriage evolve collectively, and part of this too with Hudson Card is the decisiveness. Yes, and it's a double-edged sword because now depth is an issue at quarterback for Texas. Because if he runs too much and he uses his legs too much, he's gotten hurt the last 2 games he's played. That's a fact. So there's this balance that Sark's going to have to play with here. On top of, he's probably going to have to go to the well earlier on Malik Murphy to try to get him some reps.
Well, think of it this way too. Not most of the competition we have aren't going to have Dallas Turner and also the DNs that Alabama have. So he's going to have a an extra second or 2 to actually go through his progressions and get his passes out where he doesn't have to scramble and just get out of the pocket right away. So, and we know Sark doesn't want his quarterbacks running anyways. So that's what they will adjust to that, especially knowing that Quinn is going to be out for a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months. Who knows? So they're going to have to make that adjustment. So I don't think we really need to worry more so about him having to scramble that in that regard.
Yeah, I do for the most part. I think Murphy, that's the next guy up for you guys, though. I think, right? Is the next guy?
Well, technically, it was Charles Wright.
It's Charles Wright. Yeah.
Charles Wright. Okay.
Yeah, but that's also because Malik has been injured and wasn't around for a long period of time. I mean, he's been around the program, but in terms of like actually repping it on the practice field, it's been really up and down with him. They're just happy that he's able to like dress for games right now. So, this is one of those things where it's a little nerve-wracking right now, quite frankly. I do want to end on a positive note. I beat this defense up over lack of communication last year.
Oh, it was fantastic. You and I were talking about this.
I loved
Yes.
how Jalen Ford, who played, by the way, we talk about overcoming adversity. Jalen Ford did not play good football last week. He was excellent today. 10 tackles, a sack. It was just his presence was felt. And I just loved Overshone, Ford, Jaron Thompson, Anthony Cook. And A Cook was underrated today as well. He does so many good things well technically that are not necessarily sexy plays, but it's like, oh, dude, like I think Anthony Cook is gonna play in the NFL. There's just certain things that he does. He knows how to play football. He knows where to be. It's just, the
He
opportunity.
finishes his tackles. He doesn't miss tackles.
Not really. No. Ryan Watts, another one. The amount of communication I saw out there and just trying to make sure we're on the same page. I really think that is something you can take away already through 2 games. And you see, somebody also mentioned it about Gary Patterson and the impact of him being with our group. And I think you see that with technique. I think you're seeing that with some of the adjustments that are getting made. They are really they've taken ownership of the defense. I see that now. I really see as them, like, even when they miss tackles, it's not egregious because they have so many people running to the football. So it's like, yeah, it sucks. Like Jalen Gilbo had a rough time out there a little bit today, and Janae Barron was a little bit better this week. But even in the middle, like when we were getting gashed early or some of the things, like they don't. The effort is there, the talking is there, the communication is there. They're trying to play for one another. Those are things that you can take away as really, really big positives moving forward if you're Texas. I'm going to give each of you kind of final word, and then we'll wrap. Jantz, you go first, man. As we kind of put a bow on this non-conference matchup as Alabama wins 20-19 in Austin over the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, so this was not our best performance by far, but this was definitely a wake-up call. I'm praying that it's a wake-up call, not just from the player standpoint, and even what they did towards the end of the game, where the players were going over and they were throwing the horns down crap, and Nick Saban pretty much was like one of the first people to pretty much cut that shit out. Like he was just running over to him like, dude, you need to cut that shit out. And so I already know Nick Saban's going after his players, but. Despite all that crap, I mean, I think for the most part, this could be a huge wake up call for us. You guys pretty much came and punched us in the mouth, and definitely with all the hype going into the offseason, I mean, whether if we bought into the rat poison or not, I mean, this, the results in the field kind of show that we have a lot of work to do overall. So I think that despite what the score was, this was a great test for us, and hopefully we can be more resilient. Hopefully we can go right back to the drawing board, prepare, and we got a couple. We got a couple games before we get to the Arkansas game, that's going to be kind of that next true test for us. But it all starts what we can do next week. But no, you guys, you just got to keep that intensity up. You got to keep that. You got to bring that energy every single week, man. And I think you got do that, you guys will be fine in the Big 12 as far as competing for the most part, man. Your defense was extremely impressive. Your safety play was, I mean, there were parts where even when we were running the ball, pretty successfully, like there were times, man, where these safeties were coming up and just colliding with our players, man. I mean, it was just incredible to see Jaron Thompson at one of the best games I think I've ever seen him play. So, you guys, again, if you guys can just keep up that intensity, bring it up every single matchup, you guys are gonna eventually get back to where you guys want to be. So I'm honestly excited for your program.
Jantz, it's been a pleasure, just getting to interact with you and do this. I think as other big picture college football things happen, we got to continue to just talk and collab, bro, because it's always refreshing talking to football minds and friends, right? Especially people that are able to be very practical and mindful of things, no matter how good Alabama is.
Mm-hmm.
Tran, is BA okay?
I don't think so.
Pissed off.
I don't think so. I think he.
Those who don't know, BA is our buddy.
He's our Aggie friend. He's our Aggie friend. Yeah, I'm
He was.
not.
He was. Have you ever seen him that mad in the group chat?
Yeah, no, but I'm not going to pull the Aggie thing and then but y'all lost to Kansas, but guess what? I'm not going to do that. My last words. I mean, that's what college for. I mean, I haven't experienced college atmosphere like that in a long time here in Texas. It was a breath of fresh air to see something like that. Even I know you were talking about the horns down. I mean, y'all played an emotional game, and
Mm-hmm.
we were loud and obnoxious to y'all probably. So it is what it is. That's a part of college football, you know. So I mean, it was just great to see two historical programs going at it and going down to the last minute. So it was a great Saturday.
Sugar Bear, no worries, no worries. Catch the replay. We're wrapping up. Um, I'm gonna end it the way I started it. I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of how we competed. It sucks to lose. We don't celebrate losses or anything here, but there's a lot we can build on and take away from. Assuming we have that consistency and the energy and the professionalism that we've shown these first two games, and the responsive adversity, the communication, the playing for each other. There was a sense of pride out there. And Tran, you brought up something that I hadn't even thought about in terms of the blue blood aspect and the historic nature of these programs. These are the games that really shape college football. People aren't going to forget this game. When you see these two heavyweight powers get together and collide, especially non-conference. And so, I'm glad that we got to be a part of this and sharing it today. And so very, very thankful for the atmosphere, for the opportunity, like I said, to go. And I'm proud of this football team. And I want them to continue to make me proud next week and the week after and getting into conference play because we know what these kids are capable of. And they can be ahead of schedule still this year. Everything. Now the quarterback thing is we got to see how that plays out. All right. That's just the reality of the situation with the injury. But everything's in front of them. I love this football team. I love the way they competed today, especially knowing where these people were a year ago and how they would quit and how they would lay down and fight with each other or not talk to each other and all the crap that was going on in the locker room. So we've come a long way in a very short period of time. And you do have to give credit to Steve Sarkisian and this coaching staff. Jantz, where can the people find you?
Find me on Twitter, Jantz716, YouTube, Jantz Sports.
My man, you guys go ahead and subscribe to Jantz. I'll have his link below. And make sure you guys hit up busr.com/fanatic.
I am about to do that. Here's a
You
second.
getting your bets in right now for UFC?
I don't know, man. It's a little rough on these.
I gotta fill in my bets, but I also gotta collect my money from that
$1,000.
I wanted $1K and more money from some Aggie fans that I can't find them now. I'm trying to find them all day.
Hold on, you had them losing to App State?
Oh yeah, I had App State literally winning by 1%. I had that set during the summer, and I blame the Aggie fans because I predicted that they were going to go 6-6, and a bunch of Aggie fans literally were just coming at me left and right, and it was just my phone could not stop ringing for like days. So I just said, okay, you know what? I'll bet you that App State is going to win this game by I said 21-17, but I did say they were going to win the game, and somebody betting me it was 1K, and so okay, I took it, and they won. So I got that. There's another $200 bet that's coming. There's like a $50 bet that's coming. I'm getting paid pretty much, but
hey, let's go.
Go.
Let's go. Give me my money.
I need my money, but no, we need to use that BSR so we can get these MMA I got Chimaev. Even though that's crap by Chimaev, I think I got him winning, and I got Nate. I got Tony Ferguson with the upset with Nate with Diaz.
I'm with you on Hamzat, I'm picking Ji Li Lang for the undercard, not the undercard, but the kickoff fight. But I have different. I have Diaz because 2.5 months after that knockout from Ferguson, there's got to be something wrong with his brain.
Yeah, always something. But to be fair, there's always something wrong with El Kukui.
Yeah, true.
That dude.
Very, very true. Very true, man.
All right. Well, you guys, hey, make sure you also subscribe to us. Follow, like, subscribe, whole bit. Jantz, thank you again. Tran, I love you, brother. We had this was one for the books. We're gonna go to Tuscaloosa next
Hey,
year.
yeah, we are definitely. We are not beefing, by the way. Whoever's thinking that, we are not beefing. Apparently, we got beef in the streets, me and you.
No beef. No beef. Me and Tran are A1. A1, man. We got to keep putting out the propaganda, that everything's okay on the street. Oh, man. All right, guys. Remember, horns always up. Love y'all. Love y'all. Love y'all.